From today, I'll be living with Lily and Liam.
Others should just go into a care facility. Suddenly, Mason, Lily, and Liam barged into our house and said that. Why do I have to leave this house?
It's because we can no longer go on as husband and wife.
What? According to Mason, I've always made him do household chores like a housekeeper.
So basically, I've been suffering from psychological abuse by Harper.
That's terrible. Poor Mason, Lily said mockingly, pretending to wipe tears that weren't there.
But I can't take it anymore. I'm divorcing Harper. I'll get my fair share of compensation in the divorce settlement, and we'll divide the assets, starting with this house. I've endured this life for 2 years. I deserve it.
That's right. Who's going to pay the living expenses? $3,000? The next day, I got multiple calls from an angry Mason and his sister, who are now in a $2 million care facility. My name is Harper. I just turned 40 not long ago. I'm a day trader, an investor dealing in currency and stock trading. Thanks to that, my work is going well, and I can say I've accumulated a modest fortune. I was born with a chronic illness, not immediately life-threatening, but it means I can't overdo things and should ideally avoid childbirth. The risk of having a child is too high. My parents never hid this fact from me. From a young age, I've faced my illness and been raised to live life with resolve. My dad, who worked at a securities firm, taught me about stocks, enabling me to do this job now. My husband's name is Mason. He's 30. He's 10 years younger than me, and we've been married for 2 years. Our meeting was when Mason joined as an employee at a restaurant I frequented. I thought he was handsome, but nothing more than a customer-employee relationship. But somehow, he became fond of me, moving from friend to lover, and before I knew it, we were considering marriage. I thought I couldn't go on like this. I thought it wasn't right, given that I can't have children. Mason was still in his 20s. I couldn't let him give up the possibility of having his own children for me. I refused his proposal at first, but then Mason said,
I proposed because I want to live with you, Harper. If I wanted children, I would have chosen someone else from the start. Don't you trust me?
I was so happy, I cried, and I accepted the marriage. Right after we got married, Mason said,
I'll quit my job and take care of all the housework. You know I'm good at cooking, right? It will make your work easier.
Indeed, Mason was as good at cooking as he claimed. He had an interest in cooking and joined a restaurant to learn more. He wasn't working in the kitchen, but he learned a lot by watching the chefs. Our first real connection was over a similar interest. I mentioned my brother owned a restaurant, and Mason was genuinely interested, hoping to own his own one day. I thought it was admirable. But when I asked what would happen to his dream if he quit his job, he replied,
What? Do you think staying at home means I can't own a restaurant? That's disrespectful to housewives. The idea is outdated. Besides, I don't want to be away from you. I want to spend as much time with you as possible.
Weakened by his affection, I agreed to his proposal. Initially, it worked well with me working and Mason handling household chores. But gradually, Mason stopped doing housework. The once tidy living room became cluttered with books and games, and Mason started spending nights playing games in front of the TV. At first, it was occasional, but it got worse, and eventually, he completely reversed his day-night schedule. Mason, haven't you been a bit too much lately?
Sorry. I'm just really into this game right now, and I'm trying to beat it. Can't you let it slide until I finish? Please, I'm begging you.
Saying this in a coaxing tone, I reluctantly agreed to wait until he finished that game. But before I knew it, he was engrossed in a new game. The room is still a mess. When we first got married, Mason would carefully clean and make the space comfortable. What on earth happened? I put up with this for several months, but one day I decided to speak up. Mason, we need to talk.
Huh? What about?
I'm married an adult man, but now he's acting like a child. You should play games after you've done your homework. I felt like a mom scolding him. We're supposed to be a couple, equals. You're the one who said you'd quit your job to take care of the house. Then please keep that promise. I'm not saying don't play, just do your tasks first, please. After I poured out my thoughts, Mason thought for a bit and then said,
All right, I understand. Sorry, I was wrong. I got a bit too comfortable. I'll do the housework first before gaming. I'll make sure of it.
True to his word, Mason went back to his old ways, but something was different. He always seemed unhappy. In the beginning, he'd happily cook and proudly show off the clean house, but now he just finishes his tasks and retreats to his room. He used to play games on the living room TV or read books on the sofa, but now he's playing online games on a computer in his personal room. Setting up dinner on the table, I've started to hear this more often.
Sorry, I've made a gaming appointment today. I don't have time, so eat alone. Oh, just leave the dishes. I'll wash them.
Watching Mason walk into his room, I eat alone, feeling lonely. Even delicious food loses its taste this way. But since he's keeping his promise and doing the housework, I can't complain. And it's not just about meals anymore.
Tonight, I have an online gaming appointment with friends. I don't know when it'll end, so go to sleep first.
Saying that, he doesn't return to the bedroom. It's been like this almost every night. During the day, he goes out alone. When I ask where he's going, he just says shopping and doesn't return until night. But even then, he always prepares my meal. It feels like sarcasm. Since I only asked him to take care of the house, with cleaning, laundry, and cooking all done, it's hard to complain. But this isn't life as a family. It's like living with a live-in housekeeper. Now we hardly even talk. I just eat the cold, prepared meals alone, change into clean clothes, and blankly sit in the tidy room. I think I'd be less lonely alone. Looking at Mason's door, I feel sad and tear up. But still, I hope things will settle down. We'll return to our normal lives, I think, and silently endure. Then, after a year of this, Mason suddenly makes this declaration.
I'm going to live with Lily and Liam from today.
The rest can go to a care facility. Suddenly, Mason, sister-in-law Lily, and sister-in-law's husband Liam came into our house and said that. It made no sense. I thought Mason moving here for our marriage meant Lily and Liam were moving to the apartment he left. Wait, you mean you're leaving this house to go back to your old apartment? Confused, I asked that, and the three of them looked at each other and laughed.
No, I'm going to live here with Lily and Liam, the three of us.
It's Hapa who has to leave the house. It's becoming less and less clear to me. Why do I have to leave this house?
It's because we can no longer continue as a couple.
What? According to Mason, I've been making him do all the housework like a housekeeper.
In other words, I've been suffering from psychological abuse by Harper.
That's terrible, poor Mason. Lily said this exaggeratedly, pretending to wipe away non-existent tears.
But I can't take it anymore. I'm divorcing Harper. I'll get proper compensation in the divorce, and a share of the assets, starting with this house. I've endured such a life for 2 years, so I have the right to claim it.
Yeah, that's right. Mason asserts, and Lily echoes in support. Beside them, Liam is just watching Mason and Lily with a sleazy grin. I see. That's how it is. I somehow feel like I understand what's happening. Maybe Mason planned this since the beginning of our marriage. To charm me into marrying him, then divorce at a convenient time. And like he just said, to gain various things. I never intended to get married in my life. Knowing I couldn't have children, and not being particularly good looking, nor do I think my personality is especially great. I don't think any man would want to marry such a woman. So I decided to live alone and devoted my life to work and hobbies. I have some friends and ordinary relationships with my parents and brother Caleb. After Dad retired, my parents moved to the countryside, and now live with Caleb and his wife. Caleb worked in a restaurant for several years before marrying and starting his own small restaurant. When choosing the place, Caleb decided to live with our parents. They built 2 houses on a large plot of land, so even though it's a shared property, they're separate houses. Since we were born and raised in this town, near the city center where I live now, it may be strange to call it going back home, but when I visit, I enjoy my time with my parents, Caleb, his wife, and my nephews. So I never felt lonely, but I was shocked to find myself married to a man 10 years my junior. Looking back, I guess I was smoothly deceived. As I listened to Mason and the others, I couldn't help but laugh at my own foolishness. After all, Mason approached me too suddenly and got too deeply involved in my life, like a made-up story. At first, I was cautious, but I was tricked by Mason, who acted like a needy puppy. Now, how should I turn the tables? How should I fight back? As a day trader, it's my job to read the situation, anticipate the future, and steer things in a positive direction. I've always won my battles this way, so I can handle this too. I'll make it work. Seeing me looking down and deep in thought, Mason and the others continued to hurl ugly insults.
Hey, why the silence?
Come on, stop packing. Get ready to leave. Maybe for now, I'll leave this house. Understood. I will leave. For now, I gather only the essentials. Clothes and a laptop for work.
Here, sign this.
Mason handed me the divorce papers. I'll sign and submit the divorce papers. I'll contact you if there's anything else needed. With Mason and the others sneering at me, I left the apartment that I own. I have a place to go. I head there first and think. I'm sure I'll be contacted soon, so I'll deal with the rest later. I drove out of the apartment parking lot and headed towards my destination. I slept peacefully for the first time in a while. I woke up later than usual and had brunch. The food here is always delicious. It's been over 2 years since I've come here, since I got married. First, I sent Mason a text about my current location and that my lawyer would handle further discussions. Then, I immediately received a phone call, faster than I thought.
Hey, what's going on?
I can hear Lily shouting from behind Mason, but I can't make out what she's saying. What do you mean, what's going on?
Don't play dumb. Where are you right now?
So they reacted to that. I came here because I was kicked out of the house. Is that a problem?
It's not that.
Mason continues with an irritated voice.
That's a members-only luxury resort hotel, isn't it? Why are you there?
Why? Because I'm a member here.
I haven't heard of such a thing.
That's because I never mentioned it. Indeed, this is a quite luxurious hotel, but it's not just a hotel. It's a luxury resort hotel with care services. In other words, it's also a high-class nursing facility. There's even a hospital attached. You can stay here like a regular hotel, but if you buy it, you can live like in a regular house. To get a place here, you need at least $2 million, and it was quite a topic in the media for a while. So when Mason saw the name of the hotel, he must have researched and called.
Why are you a member of such a place?
Why? Because I paid for the rights here. Mason is making an indignant and incomprehensible noise on the other end. Someone said it, right? Go into a nursing home or something. So I decided to live here. You can keep living in that house if you want, but the monthly rent is $3,000, so make sure you can pay it.
What? No, that's your house. What do you mean, rent?
I've decided to sell it. I've been thinking about it for a while now, and it seems like I won't be living there anymore. I never planned to get married, and I bought this place when the hotel was built, to not be a burden to anyone in my old age. I already owned the apartment I lived in until yesterday, but I rushed to secure this facility, not knowing when it might be available again. So I took the plunge. I thought of moving here when I got a bit older. It's a bit far from the city center, so it's a bit early to retire and settle down. So while I'm still able to work, I treated this place like a holiday home. I've come here occasionally for a break, but kept it a secret from everyone. Only my accountant and lawyer know.
Give that place to me.
As I was thinking, Mason suddenly said that.
That's my settlement, okay? I'll take that too. No, I can give you back the apartment. I'll live there.
Such a convenient argument. Who would agree to such a thing? I'm astonished. I have no intention of giving it to you. Also, please do not contact me directly from now on. Communicate through the lawyer. You have the contact information, right? Bye. I hung up the phone and turned off my mobile phone. Now maybe I'll go to the spa and get rid of this fatigue. Not just from yesterday, but from these past 2 years. To my surprise, Mason, Lily, and Liam showed up at the hotel the next day. Mason seemed to insist at the front desk that he had the right to enter his family. I had asked not to let anyone in without my permission, and they wouldn't let people in without consent anyway. It's a really well-managed facility. I thought about completely ignoring them, but didn't want to cause trouble for the facility. Reluctantly, I agreed to meet in the hotel lobby. There are other people around, and the concierge is right there. If anything happens, I can get help. When I asked what they wanted, Mason said with a friendly smile,
"Harper, you're really mean. If you had such a place, you should have told me. Why did you hide it?"
"Yeah, why did you hide it?" Lily joined in with the same expression as Mason. Looking at them, they really do resemble each other, brother and sister, both in their facial features and their pettiness. "It doesn't matter anymore, so there's no need to talk about it. Please leave, you're bothering me."
"We're a couple, aren't we?"
"Ex-couple. I told Mason that I had filed for divorce on my way here yesterday. So you and I have nothing to do with each other anymore."
"Why would you file it on your own?"
"Why on my own? They were the ones who issued the divorce papers and handed them to me for signing." "It's okay. We can just get remarried."
"Yeah, let's do that."
Lily showed off her knowledge, and Mason happily joined in. I refused. Saying just that, I stood up, ignoring the three who tried to follow, and decided to return to my room. Mason and the others were stopped by the concierge.
"I won't give up. I'll come here every day and show you how much I love you, Harper."
"Mason, you're so cool." I walked back to my room, with their ridiculous drama playing out behind me, feeling uncomfortable. Then, I immediately contacted my lawyer to get things moving. I decided it was best to act quickly. I never thought Mason and his group would act this fast. Their actions are unnecessarily swift. From the next day, Mason and his group appeared at the facility every day, waiting for me in the lobby. Even after issuing a restraining order through my lawyer, Mason's group took surprising actions.
"I was deceived into marrying Harper. I demand settlement money."
According to Mason's claim, he didn't know I couldn't have children, and wouldn't have married me if he had known, so he demanded settlement money. If I didn't pay, he threatened to report it to the police as marriage fraud. I handed a recording to my lawyer.
"I proposed to you, Harper, because I wanted to live with you. If I wanted children from marriage, I would have chosen someone else from the start. Or do you not trust me that much?"
This recording clearly captured Mason's words during his proposal. Mason was
"Why is there such a recording?"
apparently angry, but it was just due to my bad habit. You never know what might happen in this world, so whenever something seemed likely to happen, I just run a digital voice recorder, just a habit. I, who trusted Mason, used to listen to this recording alone and reminisce about those times. Never thought it would come in handy like this. Mason then claimed,
"I was forced to quit my job and do housework after marriage. It's psychological abuse. Pay me settlement money. If you don't pay, I'll report it to the police."
I submitted another recording.
"I'll quit my job and do all the housework. I don't hate working at the restaurant, but wouldn't it make it easier for you to work? You know I'm good at cooking, right?"
The recording clearly captured Mason's declaration. Mason then demanded money for the mental anguish caused by the eavesdropping of these recordings.
"If you don't pay, I'll report the eavesdropping crime to the police."
Unfortunately, there's no such crime as eavesdropping. There are penalties for using eavesdropped content to cause harm, or for breaking and entering to plant bugs. But eavesdropping itself is not a crime. After failing in everything,
"Then pay me the divorce settlement for the divorce itself,"
Mason said. But Mason himself initiated the divorce without any valid reason, suddenly handing me a signed divorce petition and telling me to leave the house. Of course, I recorded that conversation as well. The lawyer explained that, considering everything, it's more likely that Mason would be the one owing money. Finally crying,
"At least give me a share of the property,"
Mason begged. I agreed to the proposal. "Leave the apartment for a while so we can properly assess the property and calculate the results. We'll meet at the lawyer's office once it's done." After saying that, the three of them quickly left the house, and in their absence, I sold the apartment's furniture and, as declared, put the apartment up for sale. The apartment sold for more than expected due to rising local property values. When Mason and his group saw the total assets and sale price amounting to over $9 million, they were overjoyed. So I get half of this? Of course not. This was just the total amount of assets I had accumulated on my own. The lawyer handed Mason the calculation of his share, and he became angry. Why? Why don't I get anything? The lawyer carefully explained to Mason. Most of my assets were accumulated before our marriage, so Mason had no right to them. He had rights to half of the income after marriage, but after deducting living expenses and necessary costs, and the divorce settlement I demanded, he actually owed money. Why do I have to pay the divorce settlement? This too was explained by the lawyer with documentation. Mason had been cheating. The other woman was someone he met in an online game. Mason had apparently told her that I was 10 years older and sick, and that if something happened to me, he would inherit everything, and even now he could use as much money as he wanted. The woman didn't take it seriously, but was shaking as she said she'd played along because Mason gave her an allowance. Under the condition of not making any claims against her, she agreed to testify. Mason, you said things like this, didn't you? The recording of the woman's testimony was played. It went like this. Mason had told the woman about my health condition, which would be life-threatening if I were to have children. Furthermore, he planned to plead with me to bear his child if necessary, thinking I would do it at the risk of my own life. She testified that he said this with a laugh. Be thankful I'm not reporting this to the police. Thanks to you, I had some fun dreams, and Mason's cooking was good, so I won't ask for anything more. Mason accepted everything. Thus, my short marriage came to an unhappy end. I don't know what happened to Mason, Lily, and Liam afterward, nor do I want to. As long as they never appear before me again, that's fine. Pressing them further would only make me feel miserable. Honestly, it was quite a mental blow, but fortunately, I had plenty of money and time to heal. I embarked on a world tour on a luxury cruise ship. On the ship, I met various people from around the world, saw different places, and had a great time. Some were wonderful, and I almost got the wrong idea. But remembering Mason, I restrained myself. I didn't want to get hurt over the same thing again. That's what I decided. After returning home, I started a new life. I lived leisurely at the resort hotel for a while, but soon got bored. I'm only 40 years old. When I think about it, I'm still young. Living with younger Mason made me always conscious of my age. On the year-long cruise, I met a lady who was over 80 and still looking for new love. At half her age, why should I give up on everything? Though it ended badly, falling in love was fun. Why should I give up that joy, that possibility, just because I got hurt by someone like him? I felt that way. As I was thinking, my mobile phone blinked, indicating a text message. It was from a man I met on the ship. He was coming to America and asked if we could have dinner. He had been on the ship with his high school daughter. We got along well and often spent time together at the ports. Maybe having a daughter feels like this. I remember enjoying our time together with that thought. I replied, I would love to meet, feeling a little excitement. From the halfway point of my life, I take another new step forward.